Hello students, welcome to today's lecture. Now today's lecture, it will be a continuation of the topic conjunction. So here we have use of English, then we have conjunctions as a topic. And remember, I defined what a conjunction is. I went further to tell you that we have different types of conjunction, most especially 4 types. I explained the coordinating conjunction, which I said that this is a type of conjunction that joins units of equal ranks or grammatical status. What that simply means is that this conjunction helps to join 2 words that belong to the same grammatical units. For example, those 2 words can be noun, nouns, or they can be pronoun, pronouns. Do you understand? Or they can be phrases, phrases, or clauses, clauses. Do you understand? That's what I mean by equal grammatical status. I hope that is clear to you. Now, I went further to tell you that there's another type of conjunction known as the semi-coordinating conjunction. Now, what is the semi-coordinating conjunction? It is a type of conjunction, all right, which usually occur between 2 subjects. Are you with me now? Usually occurs between 2 subjects. Now, this semi-coordinating conjunction that occurs between 2 subjects would have some words, would have examples. Examples are when you have a word like with, along with, okay, you have together with. Can you see? So you have with, along with, together with, accompany by. Are you with me now? So you have accompanied by. You can also have in conjunction with, and so on. So these are examples of words that helps to join 2 subjects together in a sentence structure. And remember, there's a rule to that. This is an example of a semi-coordinating conjunction. This is an example of a semi-coordinating conjunction. You can have with, along with, together with, accompanied by, in conjunction with. You can even add it more than. You can even have less than. Can you see that? So these are examples of semi-coordinating conjunction. I hope you understand this. Now, these conjunctions would help to link 2 subjects together, such a way that your attention should be on the first subject. If the subject before any of these semi-coordinating conjunction is singular in person and in number, the verb must be singular. In the same way, if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is plural in number or person, the verb must equally be what? Be plural. So it means that your attention is on the first subject. It is the first subject that determines the verb. If the first subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the first subject is plural, the verb has to be plural. Is that taken? So that's where I stopped in our last class, and I was able to give you examples with that. Take a look at this now. E.g., the chief with his sons, all right, dash traveling to Lagos. Today, full stop. Look at a sentence like this. The chief with his sons, okay, dash traveling to Lagos today. Look at the first option, you have is. Look at the second option, you have are. Look at the third option, you have where. Look at the fourth option, okay? You have am. Can you see that now? So this is an example that I want to use to justify this. So you can see that what is with? With is a semi-coordinating conjunction. Can you see that now? Then this is the first subject. And it's even a singular subject. Can you see that now? And look at his son. What's that? That's a plural subject. Do you understand that now? And I told you that the subjects coming before the what? The semi-coordinating conjunction determines the verb. How? The subject coming before the semi-coordinating conjunction is singular. That means we're expecting a singular verb. That's the first method. Use the subject to judge it. Now, here we have the chief with his sons. What is his sons? That's a plural subject. Can you see that now? That's a plural subject here. You can see I've already written it below it. I've written it below it. That's a plural subject. So if you compare this, the chief with his sons dash traveling to Lagos today. What do you mean by that? So it means that you can also ignore the semi-coordinating conjunction and ignore the second subject. Why? Because the attention is on the first subject. So you can say that the chief, okay, you remove the plural verb, This is plural present, this is plural past. So the chief, okay, is traveling to Lagos today. So am cannot fit into that construction. So the chief is traveling to Lagos today. Why? Because your attention is on what? On the first subject. So the chief is traveling to Lagos today. I hope this is clear with you. Now, I want to take a look at this particular example that is done. I'll give you another one to justify this. The teacher, as well as his students, dash the answer. The teacher, as well as his students, dash the answer. So you have A, know, B, knows, C, knew, D, known. Now, please look at this. Look at this particular question. Look at this particular question. The teacher, as well as his students, dash the answer. So, should that be know, knows, knew, or known? I want you to take a look at this. What should serve as the appropriate answer? Take a look at it. Now, I need you to watch me as I go through the correction to this particular exercise. This is just a drill, and I want you to do that. But before then, take a look at this. The teacher, as well as his students, dash the answer. Look at this. The teacher is a singular subject, okay? As well as is what? That's a semi-coordinating conjunction. Remember, I stated it there. That's a semi-coordinating conjunction. While the teacher is a singular subject. His students, what's that? That's a plural subject. Is that okay? Like I defined to you that a semi-coordinating conjunction is a type of conjunction that usually joins what? Two subjects. It usually joins two subjects. What are the two subjects? This is the first subject. This is the second subject. The first subject is a singular subject. The second subject is a plural subject. Is that okay? So that means that here, it is the first subject that determines the verb. That's just the logic behind it. The first subject determines the verb. Which means that if the first subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the first subject is plural, the verb needs to be plural, or the verb will be plural. Is that taking? Now, that's number one. Number two, another logic again is you can eliminate the semi-coordinating conjunction and also eliminate the second subject in order to determine the answer. Let me go by the second rule or the second strategy. I'm going to eliminate the semi-coordinating conjunction. I'm also going to eliminate the what? The second subject. So what am I left with? The teacher dash the answer. What's that? Knows the answer. Why is it knows? This is a singular verb. This is a plural verb. Know is a plural verb. Knows is a singular verb. Knew is the past tense form of the verb. That's what? V plus past. That's the past tense form of the verb. What is known? Known is what? V plus en. What's V plus en? V plus en is the past participle form of the verb. The past participle form of the verb. That's V plus en. I hope this is understood. The reason I pick knows is because in as much as the subject is singular, all right, the verb has to be singular too. Is that taken? So you have the teacher knows the answer. Is that taken? Now, take a look at this. That is still under number 2. What's number 2? Semi-coordinating conjunction. I'm going to give another example to try that. I will state the rule to you in a written form. I will state it in a written form, which I would like you to write it down in your notebook so that you won't easily forget. Is that taken? Now, look at that. Now, look at the rule. This is the logic or the rule. If the subject before, can you see that now? If the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction, before the semi-coordinating conjunction, if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is singular in number or person, then the verb, let me not use need, the verb must be singular. Is that taken? Must be singular. That's logic 1. Logic 2, that's the second logic. Logic 2, okay? If the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction, is plural in number or person, then the verb will be plural. Now that is logic 2. Take note of these rules. The first one is if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is singular, underline singular in your notebook, what would you have? A number or person. By number in English language simply means that whether the word is singular, all right, that is making reference to just one thing, or whether it is plural. What is plural? Making reference to more than one thing. Do you understand? Yes, singular represents one, while plural represents more than one. Is that taken? Then in terms of person, whether it is referring to the first person, that's usually the speaker, or the second person, that is usually the listener, or the third person, which is usually anything to which you're making reference to. That's the third person. Or what you're talking about, that's usually the third person. I hope that is clear to you. Now look at the logic 2. If the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is plural, please underline plural. In number, I already explained what number is to you, whether it is singular or plural. That's number in English language. Number in other subjects, let's say mathematics, has to do with figure or digits. Are you with me now? But in English language, number refers to whether the word is singular or plural. And I told you that a singular word refers to just one thing, while a plural word refers to more than one. Now, in terms of person here refers to whether you're making reference to the first person, which is usually the speaker, or the person talking at the moment, okay? For instance, I'm the first person. Why? Because I'm the one talking, addressing you. You are the second person. What is the reason behind that? Because you're the listener. You're the one receiving the information. Then the third person is what I'm making reference to, which is what? Use of English. Under that we have conjunction. Under use of English we have conjunction. Is that taken? So that's the third person. That is that thing I'm talking about. That thing I'm making reference to. My reference here is referring to what? Conjunction as a topic. Now, here I said if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is plural, okay? Just pay attention to the subject before that semi-coordinating conjunction. If it is singular, the verb has to be singular. If it is plural, the verb has to be plural. Is that taken? Now, if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is plural, a number of person, then the verb will be what? Will be plural. That's the simple logic behind that. Now, take an example to justify what I just told you now. Take an example. Now you have a word here. The players, as well as their coach, the players as well as their coach dash to blame. Now, option letter A, you have what? Is. Option letter B, you have was. Option letter C, you have am. Then option letter D, you have are. Look at this particular sentence and apply the rule. The players, as well as their coach, dash to blame. Look at that. Now, what do you have? Look at the first subject, the players. Are you with me? Now, what is as well as? As well as is the semi-coordinating conjunction that I told you about. Now, let's analyze this together. The players is what? That's a plural subject. What is as well as? As well as is the semi-coordinating conjunction. Can you see that now? Then their coach. What is their coach? That's what? That's a singular subject because it's making reference to just one person, just one coach. And one coach for all the players. Can you see that? Dash to blame. Now, apply the first logic. That is, if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is what? Is singular in number or person, then the verb must be what? Singular. However, if the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction is plural in number or person, then the verb must be plural. This is the subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction, the players. That's what? A plural subject. The players, as well as their coach, dash to blame. So what do you have in this case? Now you have the players, which is what? The plural subject. Then, as well as is what? The semi-coordinating conjunction, their coach. What's that? That's a singular subject. So what you need to do is pay attention to the first subject, which is a plural subject. The players, that's a plural subject. It means that the verb has to be what? Has to be plural. That's the simple logic. The second logic here is that what? Now, you have to cancel the semi-coordinating conjunction and the second subject. Do you understand? So your attention will now be the players dash to blame. That is, are to blame. Option letter D is the most appropriate. The reason is option letter A is a singular subject. Okay. Option letter B is also a singular subject. Option letter C is a singular subject. So it is only option letter D that is what? That is a plural subject. So you have the players are to blame. Now, I need you to answer this for me based on my explanation so far. Answer this. The employees no less than their manager. I need you to answer this for me. The employee no less than their manager dash to blame. Option letter A, A-R-E, R. Option letter B was. Option letter C is option letter D, arm. So please answer this for me. Yeah, okay. Most of you are already getting the answer. I can see that Timileyin got the answer correctly and Miracle got the answer correctly as well. Now, it means that you have a perfect understanding about what I just explained now. So I have to proceed to the third type of conjunction, which is known as correlative conjunction. Remember, I've explained coordinating conjunction, in which I define by saying it is a type of conjunction that joins units of equal ranks or grammatical status. Then I proceeded to the second part, which is known as the semi-coordinating conjunction, which has this particular rule I just stated. Okay, and I've given you a drill. Absolutely, the answer is R. What method would you use? The employee, that's what? A plural subject, no less than. You can cancel that out. That's what? That's a semi-coordinating conjunction. You can remove it. Okay, you can even remove the second subject. They are what? They are manager. So what you have is what? The employee is what? Are to blame. So R is the most appropriate. You can't use was because that's a singular subject. You can't use is because that's also a singular subject, and you can't use am. That's equally a singular subject. So your attention should be the what? The subject before the semi-coordinating conjunction. That's what determines what the verb will be. That's the basic summary of that aspect. If that is clear now, let's proceed to correlative conjunction. Now, let's proceed to correlative conjunctions. Now, that's the third part. Correlative conjunction. Now, what's the meaning of correlative conjunction? Now, this is a conjunction that is usually used in pairs. That is, it is used in double. That's to indicate pair, that it comes in pairs. It comes in double. It comes in two parts. Now, take a look at this. They usually occur in what? In pairs. They usually occur in pairs. Okay, an example can be what is known as either or. You can as well have neither nor. You can also have not only, okay, but also, and many more. So please take a look at this type of correlative conjunction. They usually come in pairs. Either or, okay, neither nor, not only, but also. Now remember, let me bring to your notice that this can as well be pronounced as either or and neither nor. Then you have this having a standard pronunciation, which is only, not only, but also. That's the standard aspect of it. Now let's look at the basic explanation to this. What does either or means? What does either or? Either or means that out of two entities or out of two things, one is considered, one is picked, one is recognized. Out of two things or two people, one is certain. That's what either or means. Are you with me? So if you use the expression either or, what you're simply saying is that you're talking about two things in which one is very, very compulsory to occur. The rate of occurrence for one is so high. That's what either or represents. I hope you understand this perfectly. Now, either or is mostly used at the beginning, especially either. You always use it to begin a sentence. Take, for instance, either Chioma or Bumi will attend the party. What do you mean? You're trying to say that if not Chioma, then Bumi will attend the party, which means that both of them cannot attend the party. It will certainly be one person, okay, who would attend the party. Two of them cannot attend the party. It would always be one person that would attend the party. So anytime you're to use either or, ensure that you're making reference to just one thing out of two. Is that taken? Now,